This is the High Stakes Lowdown, a RotoViz podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I'm Eric Balkman from the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour and the FFPC. You can follow me on Twitter at Eric Balkman and the FFPC on Twitter at FFPC. Before we get into the show, I want to remind everyone that you can get a listeners-only 10% discount to RotoViz by using the code RVRadio2022. That's RVRADIO2022. Your subscription gives you unlimited access to all of the RotoViz content and tools, and it supports the podcast channel. Now, without further ado, here's the latest edition of the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the July 2025 edition of the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown presented by myffpc.com, the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I am your host, Eric Balkman. You know me from X at Eric Balkman, of course, the host of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, the host of the Insider Access Show presented by the FFPC on the Better Sports Network, as well as the Fantasy Football Players Championship. Before we get into everything tonight with our guest, who I'll introduce here shortly, I want to encourage everybody to be playing the FFPC Big Gorilla Tournament, $1 million grand prize. You're going to get a $50 discount on every third team you get. Drafts already off and running now, both live and slow. The 7 Bananas promo is live. I saw that we are up to 21 free best ball teams that we have given away, as well as 3 free FFPC main event teams we have given away to people who keep getting that 7 pick multiple times in a row. So check that out at myffpc.com. Join the FFPC main event. It is our flagship event. $1 million grand prize there as well, $6 million plus prize pool. We've had slow drafts going on for a while now. The live drafts have basically been on the weekend, but I think we'll start getting some live main events cranked up during the week this month, as well as we're kicking off July here. The FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball tournaments are also live at myffpc.com. Remember that Best Ball tournament has a $300,000 grand prize with a $100,000 runner-up prize. You don't even have to win the thing, and you could win $100K. Just $125 to enter that one. You can enter the Superflex version for just $35, and that has a $100,000 grand prize as well. Draft with 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, or 6-hour clocks at myffpc.com. And if you're looking to add some dynasty startups into your portfolio, please do. myffpc.com is your home for season-long dynasty fantasy football. Entry fees range from $100 up to $5,000, 2,000 plus leagues over the last 15 plus years. None have ever folded. myffpc.com is where to go for that. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on a video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live by clicking on that notification bell. And we thank you for it. This month, as we do this monthly in the offseason, this show, I am joined by a guy who is representing the Joes in the 2025 FFPC Pros versus Joes Challenge. As a reminder, 42 FFPC Joes are battling 42 industry pros for the rights to win 7 free 2026 FFPC main event entries to compete for $1 million grand prize for free. He is a former 21-time FFPC League champ as well. You follow him on the X at VC_staff. Please welcome back to the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown, Mr. Vince Staffilino. Vince, good evening, and congrats on being selected to being a Joe this year, my friend.
Hey, Balky, how are you?
Doing good, man. And we'll get into pros versus Joes later on in the interview here, but I know that you listen to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, and you're usually a Saturday morning guy, if I remember correctly. What was it like when I read those Joes' names off, whatever it was, about 2.5 weeks ago now, and then you heard your name on it?
It was actually I tuned in live that time.
Oh,
yeah.
Even better.
Normally it's family time, and I reserve Saturday mornings with my coffee to listen to you and Farrell. Yep. But it was exciting to hear my name called, and it's I think my third or fourth time. I think I had a shared team with Biplab Mandel once, and then a couple years ago I was in it. So always great to be able to participate in that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to get into your strategy because the last time you were in it, you won your league a couple years ago. So very cool stuff, and congratulations to you on that. Tonight, we're going to get into a potential mid-round AFC East running back that FFPC players might be sleeping on and letting them slip too far in drafts. We're going to find out whether Vince has a favorite Bears receiver among the trio that will be contending for targets from Caleb Williams this year. And so much more. I want to lead off tonight with a question from the YouTube chat, Vince, and this obviously was not on the rundown because I never know what our wonderful viewers are going to say, but our good buddy Tom Smith wants to know, and Tom is a Dolphins fan, he wants to know if Darren Waller has any juice left in the tank to help out Miami. This is interesting stuff because after that trade went down, Vince, I noticed that the depth chart for the Dolphins featured something called a Pharaoh Brown at the top of it. No idea who that was.
I've heard of it.
And I'm like, well, yeah. And I think that's what it was. Like, I heard the name before, but I knew he played football. I had no idea what position, but you knew more about him than I do. But now here's the thing. The Dolphins have hooked up with the Giants on a trade to bring Darren Waller, 33-year-old Darren Waller, out of retirement, putting his music career on hold, which is what he retired for, and back into the fold in Miami. Normally, I would not be very excited about a 33-year-old who spent last year out of football. But I look at the rest of the depth chart there, man. It's crickets. Like, it's Waller or it's nobody. So to answer Tom's question, Vince, how much does Waller have left in the tank? How are you handling him now as the de facto number one tight end for Miami?
Well, this all just broke, right? So I haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but he didn't have a lot of miles on him, right? He had years where he played a lot of special teams, backup. He's very physically gifted. Can he be a red zone threat? Sure. But 33 years old, who knows? I'm probably just going to stay away.
I think it'll be interesting to see because this just happened today, so I don't have the mojo updated for where he's going in drafts. I did commish a couple of fantasy pros drafts tonight, so I should probably bring that up, right? And figure out instead of just I should know this, Vince. I should know this. Okay, so in the draft that I just got done commissioning, literally minutes before we went on the air tonight here with the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown, Darren Waller was selected as tight end 29 at the 1709. That's where he went in the 8:30 draft. Now, in the 7 p.m. draft tonight, I'll bring that up. Where do I have it? Here we go. In the 7 p.m., this is the Big Gorilla draft, so these guys are drafting 20 rounds, 12 teams for $1 million grand prize. So he went 1709 in the 8:30 draft. In the 7 o'clock draft tonight, Waller went at the 1303 as tight end 21. So obviously there's some people, and that was, by the way, the team that drafted him, that was his third tight end too. So we're seeing a range here, 13, 17. I mean, as Baker boy, Joe Delzanero, longtime FFPC player, always says there's no such thing as a bad pick after the 10th round. Get down how you get down. I'm fine with both those. Knowing what I know about Waller, knowing what I know about the Dolphins, I'm fine with both those ADPs right now.
Why not? Zach Wilson to Darren Waller late in the season.
The best ball bros be paying attention. That's the week 17 hookup that you want. Zach Wilson and Darren Waller.
I have to check the schedule first, though. But
yeah, well, it doesn't matter with two luminaries like that. I mean, they're schedule proof with Waller and Wilson for sure. All right, Vince, let's get into it tonight. Enough of the Darren Waller talk. Quinshon Judkins. Is it wheels up for him this year? Because much in the same way, to a lesser degree, I guess, that we don't know who the quarterback's going to be for Cleveland. I mean, there's Jerome Ford, there's Dylan Sampson. I just heard the Podfather and Alex Dunlap talking about this a couple of days ago that, there's still a non-zero chance that we have a shared backfield. We have a backfield where Judkins is not the 1A. He was the guy that had the highest draft capital. They took him over Sampson. And they already had Ford, and they went out and got Quinshon Judkins in the second round. Seems like you are bullish on Judkins this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, if you've checked my ownership percentages, yes, I've taken a lot of Judkins, even before the NFL draft, when I was doing some really early drafts, never too early, $35 and $125 teams. I really think the advantage for him is going to be there's going to be a vet starting probably 8 games, 10 games, whether it's Pickett, Flacco, a combination of both. They're going to have a stable offense with the vets starting off the year, and I think he's going to get a chance to establish himself. And he's ultra physical. I think that he split with Henderson, right? So once again, not a lot of miles on him, not a lot of carries or touches in college. I think he's a physical specimen, and like I said, with that veteran presence starting off the season, I think he'll get a chance to establish himself. And there's really no competition there, in my opinion. Ford, role player who's definitely flashed and been useful in fantasy in a pinch. And Sampson, the draft capital tells me it's Judkins.
Yeah, and you're probably right. I would say that, in a situation like this, we have to look at it from the standpoint of very obvious things like, well, who looks the best running with the football that we've seen so far? It's been Judkins. Who had the highest draft capital? It's been Judkins. Who's the guy that it seems like the team wants to succeed more than the other guys? It's Judkins. Now, all of those could be wrong as we get closer and closer to the season or as the season starts. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm with you. I'm maybe not as bullish, and I'm maybe not leaning into him as much as you are. You probably got him in a bunch of dynasty leagues too, right, Vince?
No, actually, I'd taken a little break from dynasty last year.
Oh, okay.
This year. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
I was playing a lot, and I decided to take a little bit of time off. Had some teams that I let get old, and I think I'll hit the reset button on it. I do miss it. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the trades and all that. So I will definitely be getting back into it probably next year.
Sometimes it's just good to reset everything. You know what I mean? And take the break. Because I think sometimes I know I should be saying this as an employee of the FFPC. We want you to get as many teams as possible. But at the same time, I do think as a fantasy football player myself, sometimes taking that break, that little mental reset, it allows you to see things from different perspectives sometimes. It can even make you a better player the following year as well. I don't think we have any Kansas City Chiefs questions on the show tonight. So I'm going to go to ML on YouTube. What do you think of Mahomes this year, Vince? That's what he wants to know. He's asking both of us. I'll throw it to you first. I have a couple of thoughts on Mahomes, but this is a player who's getting Travis Kelce back for another year. He's going to have Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy to start the year. He's going to have Hollywood Brown back. And then obviously no dominant player in the backfield that they can really pound with the ground game too. So I think there's a lot to like about Mahomes. Yeah, he's not going to run a whole lot, but man, his ADP right now, if I look at Fantasy Mojo right now, with the Big Gorilla Tournament in the last 3 days, I can't remember a time when Mahomes has been this low. He's going right now as quarterback 6 at the 709. That's a little misleading, Vince, because quarterback 5, Joe Burrow, is going almost 3 full rounds ahead of Mahomes. And then the next guy, which is quarterback 7, that's Baker Mayfield. He's going basically 2 full rounds after Patrick Mahomes. So he is really on Mahomes Island here. Even though he doesn't run, to get Mahomes at that 7-8 term, I'm intrigued by it this season.
I agree. Great value in that spot in the draft. And the weapons, I'd rather have Mahomes than pretty much any of the weapons. I know people are all over Rice and taking him early. I don't know. I like Worthy. I really like him a lot. I had some success with him last year in main events. But I think having Mahomes with the Pacheco, we don't know where he's going to be, really coming back from an injury. He disappointed last year. Pretty much nothing else there. I think that they're going to have to throw a lot. So sure, at that price, why not?
When it comes down to Rice versus Worthy, is this a conversation that you're having with yourself in drafts? I know it's possible to like both of them. Are you liking one guy more so than the other, given that they are going fairly close to each other in Big Gorilla drafts right now?
I lean Worthy.
And sure. Is it because of what you saw last year that this guy is more than just a speed merchant? He filled in really well for Rashee Rice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think was it week 16 and 17? Great games for the sprint and a lot of short passes, breaking runs off of those, yards after the catch. Mm-hmm. I think he's much more than just that deep threat. And I think he's only getting started.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I had Worthy was like a FOMO pick for me in Dynasty Leagues last year, where I didn't really like him all that much because I thought he was just going to be a speed guy, at least for 2025 or 2024, I beg your pardon. And I was wrong about that. Like, he showed me a lot, and it was out of necessity too. They needed him to do more than just run down the field, and he showed the NFL that he could do more than that. And I think that the other thing that he has going for him too is Rice and Worthy, to me, are complementary players. They're not going to cannibalize each other as far as targets go and the routes. Like, I think they're both going to be valuable. I have been leaning more towards Worthy than Rice, mostly because I feel like somebody's drafting Rashee Rice before I can. And that's probably why I'm getting more Worthy. But I think both players are going to be very fun to watch this year. By the way, getting back to the Mahomes thing, Mile High Luke saying that he's in a big gorilla draft right now. Joe Burrow went with the final pick of the 4th round, and he got Mahomes in the mid-8th at 806. So essentially 42 picks after Joe Burrow, and you're getting Patrick Mahomes. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah, take him in the 8th, lock him in, just carry one QB, have that extra bench spot, and plan for the bye week.
Is that typically what you do, Vince? If you draft a quarterback in the single-digit rounds, are you usually not drafting a backup quarterback then?
Only if it's one of the big 4/big 5. If not, I'm waiting and I'm taking like a Goff and Love or somebody like that and kind of play matchups.
Are you at all concerned? I drafted Goff in a few spots. Are you at all concerned this year that the Lions were this record-setting offensive juggernaut last year, and yet Goff was like, what was he, quarterback 9, quarterback 10? I just feel like there's a negative regression coming with him this year, or maybe it won't. Maybe it's not going to be that big. I don't know.
No, I agree. I don't think that's repeatable. But I think at home, right, in the Dome in Detroit, I'm going to play him if he's on my squad. For sure.
He is a good guy, like you mentioned, like Jordan Love, to pair him with somebody like that, where you can, especially for a managed league like the Big Gorilla, the Main Event, where you need to pick a starter before that. Goff is a good guy to match up with for sure. If you get the right, if you get the yang to his yin, to borrow a Fantasy Alarm Andrew Cooper original. Yeah. Travis Etienne has bounced back a little bit in drafts, Vince. We have seen the rise of Bishal Tootin, and we have seen the fall of Travis Etienne. And yet, as I look at the mojo on him, people are kind of like, you know what? This guy's starting to bounce back a little bit over the last 3 days. Now, he has in the Big Gorilla the last 3 days. I'm looking at the wrong Etienne. I knew that wasn't right. I was looking at Trevor. Etienne. Yeah, I was like, wow, it's a really good bargain on Travis Etienne. Running back 31, Travis Etienne right now at the 804. He has bounced up a little bit. He's moved past Jordan Mason, Cam Scadaboo, and Jalen Warren. He is now basically right behind Isaiah Pacheco and Brian Robinson. I don't know how you felt about the Jaguars' ground game after they went ahead with the new GM and the new head coach to invest both in Tootin and LaQuint Allen. Where does that leave Travis Etienne, and where does it leave him for you in drafts right now? How have you been handling him? Have you been buying this little bounce back, or still staying away?
I'm really into Tootin. I took a lot in the early drafts, and I know he was getting a little expensive for a while, but I think his price has normalized. I'm really seeing a great second half from him. Etienne, I'm not really interested. I feel like you had mentioned this on one of the shows with Farrell lately about narratives, about creating narratives this time of year. And you've also talked about there's something in the news and that makes a draft ADP spike, right? And it's just, that's kind of the cycle. If you start drafting in late January, that's what you're going to have. So to me, this is much ado about nothing. I'm avoiding unless I can get Tootin at a good price. Other than that, I have some Bigsby and Best Ball, of course, as a little hedge, but pretty much staying away from Etienne, especially if his price is going up.
So, but just the Jaguars' ground game in general, does not, at least it doesn't sound like it's a target-rich environment for you.
Not really. I think, is Tootin going to be this year's Bucky? Possibly. That's really the only thing I'm interested in.
And you got him in a few spots. So if he is, you will reap the benefits of that.
And I will continue to get more of him.
Okay. All right, so Tootin is the guy that you're looking at there right now. By the way, Tootin is still going behind ETN, 908, running back 39 for him right now.
Love it.
I wanted to ask you about Jalen Wright here, a player that I drafted in a few dynasty leagues last year, and I just feel like a lot of these rookie running backs, it's like a mulligan year. I mean, outside of like, the Ashton Genties and maybe Omari and Hamptons of the world. But a lot of these guys that go on day 2, I just feel like you just got to sit them for their rookie year. And we saw it last year with Corum. We saw it last year with Trey Benson as well. And with Jalen Wright, I love the fact that his speed played in to what Mike McDaniel wants to do in that offense, where he just wants fast guys everywhere. And you can't cover what you can't catch up to, sort of thing. And Achane was relatively healthy last year, and they had Raheem Mostert as well. Mostert's gone. Now, they brought in Alexander Madison, obviously. He's there. They've drafted Ollie Gordon, which is such a bizarre pick for Miami because he's not fast. But I mean, maybe he fills the role of like, hey, we don't have this big inside the tackle banger that we can use. So maybe he fills that role. But I like Jalen Wright this year. And I didn't initially because so many people were so down on him. But now it seems like people are talking him up. He's getting, I don't want to say steamed up because I don't think he's like crushing the ADP right now. But Jalen Wright has moved up into the top 50 running backs. He is now going at that 11-12 turn. This is Rachaad White, Austin Eckler territory. Your thoughts on Jalen Wright? Is that about right? Is that the Goldilocks price for Jalen Wright right now? Or is it still too high or too low for your assertion on how good of a player he's going to be from a fantasy perspective this season?
I was really excited about him last year, and the opportunities that he had, I wasn't impressed. I don't know. The eye test, I'm in my 50s, been watching football for over 40 years or more, and I go gut and eye test, and something just tells me I don't see it. I don't see it in him. I know he has the speed. I know the offense fits him, but that team is kind of a mess right now anyway. But I just don't. I don't know. I didn't see someone who looked like they really wanted to be on the field. What do you see?
Well, like kind of what I said before, like when I watched him, I mean, granted, I didn't watch a whole lot of Tennessee football, but when I watched him play there, I'm like, God, this guy has a future in the NFL, obviously.
Yeah.
And then when Miami drafted him, the first guy I thought of was Achane and how pumped Mike McDaniel was when they got Achane. Now, this guy's not Achane. He doesn't have that ceiling level talent, but I do think there's some similarities there. Now, as far as how he looked last year, he's a rookie. I'm usually willing to give those guys the benefit of the doubt if they don't look right or if they just haven't caught up to the speed of the game. But I will say, to your point about Jalen Wright, this is a player that played ahead of Dylan Sampson at Tennessee. And then Sampson, we heard from a lot of pundits this year that Sampson was actually a better running back between those two with the Volunteers. So that's not really a feather in the hat of Jalen Wright. I still like him. I still think there's something there. I just feel like if something were to happen to Achane, you're looking at a lot of Jalen Wright. And I don't think you have to modify that offense a ton to really feature right there. Now, I want to get back to something you said about the Miami offense, and maybe this is the wider scope thing here. Maybe it's just good to not draft Dolphins this year. This could be Mike McDaniel's final year. It doesn't look like that the team is in all that great a shape. Tyreek Hill a year older. I know that the wrist injury is something that a lot of people blamed on his down season last year, and maybe that had something to do with it. But they've just traded Jonnu Smith, who was such an integral part of that offense, and they don't seem to be trending up right now. And if they're not trending up, Vince, this is probably not a team, expand it beyond Jalen Wright. Doesn't sound like a team that you have a whole lot of shares of this year.
No, I think a lot of people are talking about Waddle, especially if Tyreek got moved or, the age cliff happened or if he got injured. Waddle seems to be getting injured yearly as well, right? And I think, like you said, if Achane were to go down, okay, then Wright's going to have that volume. But I just not going to invest there this year. Now, there's going to be. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please.
No, maybe there's value I'm missing out on. I have a lot of Michael Mayer in some early best balls, so I know there was trade buzz about him going there, but probably not going to happen now.
Well, here's the thing. Like, even, it probably won't happen. But even still, the Raiders have been pretty effusive in their praise of Michael Mayer coming into this season and how they have big plans for him. So even if he doesn't get moved, it's not like the Raiders wideouts are scaring anybody. I mean, we could see like Arthur Smith is probably like, man, why can't I coach this team? You give me Mayer and Bowers and Ashton Genty. Like, I love that. So maybe Mayer still has some success in best ball this year, even with the presence of Bowers there. All right, so you're off Achane as well at the 204, running back 7?
No, I think he's the exception. He's the exception for the team. He's supreme talent. He's the guy that can get you 30 points to win you a week or have a stretch of a couple 25, 30-point games in the sprint. Yeah,
he's done it already, right? Like we've seen it. We've seen him do it. So it certainly could happen again. The Jets backfield this year is not fun. I always say fun. It's not fun to talk about. It's maddening to try to figure out. And maybe we get some clarity because we have a new head coach. We have a new offensive coordinator. We have a new quarterback. We have a new everything in New York right now. And the coaching staff that was there last year really seemed to turn it into an RBBC, even though they had the super talented Breece Hall on this squad. We saw a lot of Braylon Allen. We saw a lot of Isaiah Davis. How do you see Aaron Glenn, and the new head coach, and Tanner Engstrand, the new offensive coordinator, handling these guys? It seems like they're saying all the right things that should make us big believers in a Breece Hall bounce back, but we did see some good things from Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis last season too.
Yeah, that's problematic because they all looked great. I really like Davis. I've taken him as much as I can in 18, 19, 20 in best ball. I even have him on some Big Gorillas because I think he's a great stash. He looked fantastic in my opinion. One of those high energy. I always think of Darren Sproles when you think high energy. He just seems like he would bounce off of the ground or bounce off of other players. I kind of get that from Isaiah Davis. Seemed like he could catch the ball too. So when I was taking him early, I thought maybe there was going to be a Breece Hall trade and I'd be able to capitalize on that. But obviously Hall's talented. They're going to lean on him. The running game's going to be fantastic in general because of Fields. So I would take more Davis late than Allen where he's going. Can you tell me where Allen's going right now?
I 100% can. Right now, if we look at Mojo again, the ADP I'm citing, fantasymojo.com, get a subscription to Fantasy Mojo if you're playing in the FFPC. Darren Armani not only does this, he puts together the Pros versus Joes competition every year. I can tell you the Jets backfield in general. Breece Hall, running back 13,309. Braylon Allen, running back 53, 1306. And then you're looking at Isaiah Davis going as running back 83 at the 2006. But he has not been drafted in all those drafts that have been going on the last 3 days yet. So that ADP might actually be a little bit higher. And we always have to look at too, Vince. Well, what happens if Hall misses time? I think that the guy that is more attractive for fantasy purposes is Isaiah Davis, much in the mold of Darren Sproles. Like, give us the quicker pass catcher guy in space, the guy who actually, makes for the significant, he makes the plays. He's the playmaker out there. Braylon Allen is fine, but I don't think he's necessarily the guy you want for fantasy. Isaiah Davis, you're drafting him even in managed leagues, not just best ball?
A couple of spots, yeah. Just to see if there's potentially an injury over the summer, a trade. And that was, like I said, more early on in the Big Gorillas,
right? That
I did early, trying to win the 7 bananas.
Did you got something? Did you get a free
I got
best
one
ball
best $125 best ball team. Yeah,
mazel. Good things. That's
a great promo. It really is.
Yeah, and I think we got another promo. I don't want to speak out of turn. I think we have another promo that's going to be launching for that tournament next week too. So everybody stay tuned for that. Well, not stay tuned. We're just announcing it, but be ready for it because it'll be fun.
One question for you: what is the deal with Rampage versus Rampage?
Yeah, so have we? Where were we talking about? Was it Farrell and I that was discussing this? Rampage versus Rampage.
Yeah,
I have always viewed Rampage as the noun, right? If there is a gorilla causing rampage, he's not causing rampage. However, if there's a big gorilla that is rampaging, that's the verb. So I always say rampage for the noun and then the verb. Like, you can cause a rampage, but in order to cause a rampage, you have to rampage. Does that make sense? That's how
I'm gonna start saying it that way.
I don't know.
I trust you with your media background.
Yeah, no, that's the worst thing you can do. I remember when I graduated college, I had the AP style book, and it was always by me no matter what I was doing. Like, I did everything AP style. And then that has changed so much, and I'm so far out of, like the copy editing phase or writing for copy part of my life that, like, now it's just like, I have no idea. Like, it's so far past me at this point. And I really
Chat GPT.
That's what I'd have to do. And I do use Chat GPT probably more often than I should, but it's all about working smarter, not working harder.
Yep,
so for
that's
sure.
Right.
Let's move on and talk about some wide receivers here, Vince. The trio of Bears receivers are fun this year. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Luther Burden. All have positive things, all have negative things. You think about Moore and the guy who's been the most accomplished guy in the pros so far. A player that we've seen him do it before, but we've also heard there might be some attitude stuff. We saw him just walk off the field last year. We heard him talking to beat writers this offseason where somebody asked him what his role is going to be. He's like, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to use me, so I don't know what my goal is going to be this year. Then you have Rome Odunze, who had that beautiful, glorious top 10 overall draft capital last year, and then was basically doing wind sprints. Was that partly his fault? Was it partly Caleb Williams' fault? Like, he couldn't get the ball to him. I think that there's shared blame there. How does he come into this offense, which Ben Johnson has no allegiance to him, right? And then you have the guy that Ben Johnson does have allegiance to, went out and drafted Luther Burden in the second round this year, second pick that he's ever drafted behind Colston Loveland, who I think might factor in this conversation as well. But you have Luther Burden, a guy that seemed to have a lot of his stuff manufactured at Missouri, but he plays a lot of the slot, and we know how successful Amon-Ra St. Brown was in the slot with Ben Johnson's offense the last few years. Now, is Burden St. Brown? Probably not. Is he close to that? I don't know. Maybe. There's a lot to unpack here. Do any of those Bears receivers sort of present themselves as separating from the other two, that you want to be in business with this guy more so than the other two guys?
Yeah, it's a really good point on slot and Amon-Ra. And you look at coaches' past behavior predicts future behavior, right? And could he be Amon-Ra in the Bears offense? I don't think so this year. Maybe if Moore is gone. But I love Odunze. I love the talent. And I saw a lot of flashes of brilliance with him. And I've been taking as much as him as I can. His ADP is what, 7 and some change?
705. Wide receiver 36.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. To win in FFPC or any high stakes, you need that 7 to 9 to play like a third or second rounder. You do. It's not just getting that gem like a Kyron or Puka in the 17th round like a couple years ago, but it's also having that 7th, 8th rounder perform 6 rounds ahead of that. And I think that could be a Odunze for sure.
In historically, the teams that you've had go very far in, Pros versus Joes, Best Ball Tournament, Big Gorilla, Main Event. Have you usually had one or two of those guys in your team? And if you didn't, those teams didn't do anything?
It's hard to really remember. I remember Doug Baldwin from one year.
Right.
I think he had a fantastic year. He was scoring like a top 14 receiver most weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I got him in the 9th round. So, yeah, that's something I'd actually like to see some data on in my 20-some years of playing. Where did I really find some value?
Let me ask you this. This might be fun. It might be overwhelming, but we'll try it anyway. I'm going to list off the receivers right now that are going between the 701 and 912 in the Big Gorilla. Odunze is obviously one of them. We know you like Odunze. I'm going to read these names off. You tell me if any of these other guys could be that 7 to 9 guy that performs like a 2 to 3 guy. Here's the full list, okay? We have Olave. I already said Odunze. Juwan Jennings, Jordan Addison, Jacoby Myers. That's 7th round. 8th round, Deebo Samuel, Ricky Pearsall, Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs, Josh Downs, Cooper Kupp. That's the 8th round. Then the 9th, there's only a few. Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka. I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. Of that list, which is probably about a dozen plus guys, we know you like Odunze. Is there anybody else on there that you think has the potential to really crush that ADP?
Love Juwan Jennings. 100%. I think he's their one. I'm a Pearsall fan too. I mean, that's an amazing story. But I love Jennings. I really do. Even if IU came back midseason, I think he's going to be established. Golden, I'm really intrigued by Golden. Yeah, I'd like you're in the area, right? Is he gaining a lot of buzz around town?
I'm the wrong guy. He seems
like you don't like him.
Okay. I don't want to say I don't like him. He scares me. I was talking with who was on the show the other day on the Insider Access show. I think it was Corbin Young from Rotoballer. And we were talking about Saquon Barkley. And I said, oh, no, it was Dan Williamson. I was talking to Dan Williamson about this from Player Profiler. And I said to Dan, I'm like, I'm scared to draft Saquon Barkley, but I'm also scared to not draft Saquon Barkley.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so I think with Matthew Golden, it's sort of a similar thing. Like with Golden right now, I look at it from the standpoint of I know this. You want to know what the buzz is in Green Bay. It's very positive. The guys, the wide receivers on the team are talking him up. The coaches are talking him up. Everybody's very excited about it. It sounds like he's coming in very polished. It sounds like he's having a connection with Love, who's also been praising Matthew Golden as well. So everything that's being said is good if you want to be in the Golden business. I never have really fully gotten on board with the pick. I've had a lot of people try to sell me on Golden, and it's always been a temporary thing. When it comes down to it, I don't care how good this guy is. I know I should care that he's a first wide receiver, but that Matt LaFleur offense, it's just designed to spread the ball around. And then they drafted Savion Williams in the 3rd round. They want to get Tucker Kraft more involved. You listen to anybody here, they're still talking up Luke Musgrave. And then you're getting Marshawn Lloyd back. So it's just, I look at all these different players that have the opportunity to catch the ball in that offense. And then the shift to how strong we saw with Josh Jacobs last year. I don't know. I'm nervous about Golden. Now he's wide receiver 47 at the 907. If he doesn't pan out, who cares? I mean, it's a mid-9th round pick. Like you can get away with that. I also understand that he represents a certain amount of upside. What if Golden does hit? What if he does develop into this number 1 wide receiver? Maybe not in the first couple months, but down the stretch. I mean, he's getting 8, 9, 10 targets every single game. Not just one game. It's every single game where they're really featuring him. Non-zero chance of that happening, probably better than a non-zero chance of that happening. So while it's too strong for me to say I'm cautiously optimistic. I got him on like 2 teams so far, Vince, which is not a lot. I don't know, man. I'm a little skittish there with Golden.
I understand, and what a compelling argument there.
Well, I mean,
you thought I could.
No, I keep going.
I feel like he's got the WR1 mentality, and I think he could become that guy later in the year.
I have been very wrong about stuff like this before because I feel like I'm still somewhat on an island with him. I hear everybody else nationally and locally talking him up. So I could just be dead wrong about this player, and that's fine if I am. I would say that as far as everything in Northeast Wisconsin that I'm hearing and seeing, it's all been very, very good for Matthew Golden. And if I like the player, I would be smashing him at 907 in the Big Gorilla for sure on that. Okay, moving on. The Denver Broncos offense, another offense that's going to be fun to watch this year. We got a taste of it last year with everything Bo Nix was able to do. And then they add RJ Harvey in the backfield. They've added J.K. Dobbins, so that backfield looks a lot better than it did last year. Denver already had one of the best offensive lines. I still like Courtland Sutton this year. I think he's fine for redraft. He's fine for managed leagues. You're going to feel pretty good starting him as your number 3 receiver. Number 4, you're going to feel great about it. Is there anybody else on that Denver offense that you have been collecting shares of? Maybe not necessarily a tight end. Well, if you want to talk about Evan Ingram, we could, but but just specifically receivers here. Is there anybody else that stands out to you?
Mims for best ball, and that's about it. I wouldn't trust or rely on him in redraft. I think Ingram, as long as he's healthy and stays healthy, he's going to dominate for targets. I really love Evan Ingram. So, yeah, to answer your question, Mims for best ball, and that's about it. Because I really like his explosive ability, to win you a week.
The other thing with Mims, too, remember, was it 2023, I want to say, Vince? Everybody was like falling. I know Stacey Perez from Fantasy and Frames absolutely loved Marvin Mims, was drafting him everywhere she could. And then I was drafting against her in the KFFSC in Louisville, and I actually went out of my way to draft Mims ahead of her just because I'm like, I could be missing out on something because she's smart. Like, if she's onto somebody, I should probably be onto that person as well. But when it comes to Mims, like, now I think, like, yeah, he didn't live up to it in 2023 and 2024, maybe not, but 2025 best ball play, I do like that as well. That's the type of player that you want on your team. You want these big spike week guys, and he definitely has it in him, and that offense should be on the field more and maybe creating more explosive plays, and probably created by one Marvin Mims as well. Speaking of an offense that will be on the field a lot this year, I love what the Bengals did, or should I say didn't do, with defense. They drafted kind of a project defensive end in the first round in Shamar Stewart. They have not yet paid Trey Hendrickson, although I've heard the wheels are in motion on that. This defense was atrocious last year, and I know they got a new defensive coordinator. There's a non-zero chance it's even worse this year. And then, if that's the case, wheels up, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, even Mike Gesicki to a certain standpoint. And if we're wheels up on all those players, and I don't know if you are, but if you are, if Chase were to go down, if Higgins were to go down, is this one of those rare times when, a guy like Yoshivas or Burton, who's been getting a lot of pub lately in Cincinnati,
he has.
Is this, an opportunity worth focusing in on? And we know Higgins usually misses time too, if history's any guide. Are you team Yoshivas, you team Burton, or do you just not see the opportunity there if, like, it's just Jamar Chase or T. Higgins if one of them were to go down?
Once again, best ball wise, I've been taking a lot of Yoshi, taking him late. I love getting him in the 20th round, 19th round, especially if I have like a Higgins and Burrow stack, add Yoshivas at the end, right? Mm-hmm. I took a Burton the other day just to hedge a little bit because he's been getting that buzz. See, I reacted because of something I heard in, social media, but Yoshivas is talented, and spot start here and there. If you're desperate with injuries and bye weeks, why not on that offense?
I think he can do it all. And in that, like Burton, I got burned on in a lot of dynasty rookie drafts last year, and I ended up cutting him towards the end of the season when, like, we saw the TikTok or whatever it was where he was playing at the casino on a slot machine at like 5 a.m. or whatever, and I'm like, okay, this guy is just not gonna. But that can go the other way too. I remember Two-Packer talking about how Malik Neighbors, after he signed his contract, he was out at some strip club or something making it rain, and Marvin Harrison was working out on the field somewhere doing wind sprints and catching balls from the jugs machine. Well, that didn't really work out.
Look how
Neighbors
that turned out.
Neighbors ended up being the right play over Harrison there, and we'll see what happens this year. That certainly, I've been buying into Marvin Harrison Jr. as a bounce back player this year. I'm glad to hear that we're of the same mind on this. I remember where he was going last year, and now it's like 2 rounds past that. And that Arizona schedule looks so. And I think that the other thing too, Vince, and I'll let you speak on Harrison and why you like him. I just feel like he was misused last year. And
yes,
2025 in the year of our Lord, they've got to self-scout a little bit in Arizona and understand, like, look, this is we can't just keep throwing fades to him all the time. We got to get him some stuff over the middle, and that just wasn't there in 2024. Yeah,
and you asked why? Why? It was McBride, right? McBride really had his comeuppance. They have to use him the right way. You're right. And talk about a great stack that I've tried to get a lot of: McBride, Harrison, and Kyler. Oh, John Terry.
Yeah, popping in on YouTube. He said the problem with Marvin Harrison is that Kyler Murray stinks. And listen, here's the thing with Kyler Murray. He was not good last year. He's talking about running more this year. And I think that he could still stink to a certain degree. I think that he bounces back. I think that whole offense bounces back. I don't think we saw the true Kyler Murray, the true Marvin Harrison, and quite frankly, the true Trey McBride. I mean, how long did it take for him to get in the end zone, Vince? You think about
that was thank God he had all those catches, right?
Right.
That made up for it. Yeah.
I mean, the regression to the touchdown regression this year should be significant for Trey McBride. So I think that all three of those guys should be taking a step forward. Although it's Adam Hahn also saying that Kyler Murray probably should have played baseball. Maybe I'm alone on you and I are team Kyler Murray here. At least
John Terry is a much better player than me. Okay, John's awesome.
That's debatable. You guys are both excellent, and I would never pick one over the other.
Oh, thank you. He says too many people stink, though. That's kind of his go-to. Oh, he stinks. He stinks. Not at the right price and not in the right matchup, right? And I think the late season schedule for them looks good. I think there's a couple of good dome matchups. Usually I have the schedule memorized by now, but I'm a little behind.
Do you literally have it memorized at this point in the season?
I have like on my devices screenshots of week 15, 16, and 17.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just always looking at the matchups.
So you're looking at I went to the Cardinals website here. I'm looking at week 15. They are at Houston.
Nice.
Week 16 home against Atlanta. And week 17, they're outside and on the road, but it's against that lowly Bengals defense. That could have shootout potential.
There you go.
All over it. That could be
as long as it's a little warm in Cincinnati that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Which it could be.
Everybody just pounds the Skyline chili early in the morning, and they'll all be warm for the game. It'll be fine. JJ McCarthy. Let's talk about him. I'm getting verklempt because I'm really upset that I don't have more JJ McCarthy on my teams. When you think about what he is going to be doing in this offense, that Minnesota, again, went out and traded for Jordan Mason. Then they extended Jordan Mason. They still have Aaron Jones. They brought him back. Offensive line is much healthier and is better, quite frankly, than it was in 2024. You have Jefferson. You have Addison. But you have Hawkinson as well. Do you think that McCarthy, knowing the proclivity, and I'll call him a rookie quarterback, even though he's technically not a rookie, but the proclivity that rookie quarterbacks have for throwing to the tight end, do you think that's actually more significant for Hawkinson? Is this a better situation for him than Sam Darnold, who was not a rookie last year and was able to keep not only Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison relevant, but keep them thriving? I wonder if this McCarthy thing with Hawkinson, like he might be the best beneficiary as far as a pass catcher goes on Minnesota this year because of this.
I agree 100%, but I think that Addison gets a bump too, and JJ is going to be JJ, right? But I mean, JJ as in Jefferson, not that JJ. But right. First of all, I love JJ McCarthy. I think you won't have what happened with Darnold happen. Darnold was lights out, and then he showed his true self, right? Especially in the playoffs, if you're talking real football. It's not going to happen with McCarthy. He's only going to get better as he gets more reps and more playing time. And he has these incredible weapons around him, especially Hawkinson. You're 100% hit the nail on the head.
Speaking of Darnold, Vince, in Seattle, does the fact that Darnold is starting there, does that scare you off of JSN at his ADP? Does it scare you off of Cooper Kupp or any of these other guys there? I guess those are really the only two draftable managed league guys there. But what's the impact that Darnold's having on how you're handling Smith and Jigba and Kupp?
Smith and Jigba, full steam ahead no matter what. Quarterback proof. Kupp, avoid at all costs, and really not put a lot into Seattle at all. I really want to see Jalen Milroe. I would love to see him play when we get to the double-digit weeks. So I've got some best ball shares of him for sure to hopefully cash in on that.
Yeah, Milroe is going to be a fun player. There's a narrative out there that maybe this isn't the year for Milroe, but listen, Seattle has set it up where 2026, if Milroe makes the proper strides, we could be looking at like a top 10 drafted fantasy quarterback next year. Which I think would be a lot of fun, especially with Smith and Jigba there. And then obviously Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet too. I want to talk about pros versus Joes here. The last time you were in it, Vince, was 2023. You ended up winning your league. Out of 84 teams, pros and Joes, you finished 7th overall. You probably don't remember a whole lot about that team. Quite frankly, I don't either. But what was the key to your success that you've had, whether drafting by yourself or drafting with BIP, as you mentioned earlier? And then sort of the mentality that you have to have as a Joe coming into this contest, knowing that the 5 other guys that are Joes, they kind of know the format. They're used to drafting in the FFPC. The 6 industry pros, some of them very well versed in FFPC, some of them not. How does that change the way you approach this specific draft, which we'll have at the end of this month coming up?
So that team was a hero RB build. Bijan was my 6th pick overall, and I got Tank Dell in the 18th round. Ooh. That helped. And I had a really good wide receiver depth. I had Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, George Pickens, I think, was a 8th or 9th rounder. It just seemed like every week and this is the beauty of best ball, right? 1 or 2 of those receivers had great games. Bijan was the anchor, and then Tank Dell. I mean, talk about a season out of 18. And then I had Jordan Love. I had Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love at QB, and I had Desmond Ritter.
Oh, God.
How do you finish 7th overall in pros versus with Desmond Ritter? But anyway, Love had an incredible week 17. I'm trying to remember the game right now because I won Revelations or Genesis with Jordan Love too that year. And
I should. I mean,
you should as a Packer fan.
I should. I totally should, and I don't. I just remember him just turning it on at the end of that 2023 season throughout the playoffs. Do you remember what he did to Dallas? That was against the Vikings. That was in Minnesota, and that was week 17. Jordan Love ended up throwing for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. He also had 2 rushing yards and another touchdown, which is crazy. That was the Bo Melton game, by the way. Bo Melton, 6 for 105 and a touchdown. We hardly knew ye. Unbelievable. And that's another guy. I didn't even mention him with all the weapons that Green Bay is going to have on the perimeter this year. But yeah, I mean, Love certainly went ham. But that's what you need. I mean, you need these guys going crazy at the end of the season. And certainly I think the mentality, I think also changes. I failed to mention this. Second place gets nothing. You either, if you win, you get a free main event team the following year. If you get second, you don't even get a pair of socks. Like they Caddy Day was better in Caddyshack than the Caddy tournament was better than the payout for this. But it is free. So just to illustrate that to all the viewers out there. But that has to change too, Vince, where it's like, if you know you are getting first place and you get paid with that main event or nothing else, you're probably swinging for the fences a little bit more than you normally would.
Yep. And first place overall doesn't get anything.
That changed last year. I don't know if Darren's doing it again. Yeah. I don't know if Darren's doing it again this year. I should actually ask him. But he got this belt. pro wrestling belt.
That's right.
That went away to the and I'm forgetting who won it last year. I should know this. Rob Cannon, the FFPC Joe, won it all last year. He narrowly beat out Michael Mann, who was another Joe. And then we had 3 pros after that. Bob Harris from Football Guys, Josh Larkey, and then Theo Greminger, who's now with Fantasy Points. So, I would say the pros did better last year by and large, but the Joes still reigned at the top of the leaderboard for sure. We have a question from Tom Smith in YouTube. I'm going to flash it up on the screen. He wants to know, Vince, are you attending the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship live drafts next month?
I was just thinking about Tom and his Dolphins gear because I was in, I think, 3 or 4 drafts with him. I'm like, oh, there he is again. I'm planning on it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do 1 day, possibly 2. I used to live in the Indianapolis area, so it was easy to drive down to southern Indiana, 2-hour drive. I just moved up to Detroit, Ann Arbor area, so it's a little longer, so I'd have to fly. So Tom, I'm considering it. Hopefully I'll see you guys there.
I'm setting a record this year. Farrell has bent over backwards for me. I said I wanted to draft at the 1 p.m. draft on Friday, but my flight gets in at like 10 something. And I'm like, it gets in, like 11 something. I'm like, I don't know if I could make 1 o'clock. Well, he just unilaterally shifted the start of that draft to 1:30. so just so I could draft in it. And I said, well, I want to do the midnight draft on Friday too, but I got this auction on Friday. And he's like, oh yeah, it'll be done by then, which may or may not be true. I don't know. Cause you know how Farrell is. He's a very, very persuasive individual. But I feel like in that auction, I feel like I'm going to have to spend my money early just to make sure, like, if like it gets to the end, they're like, Balky, come on, we want to start this midnight draft. And then I could just get somebody else to buy me a kicker and a defense or something like that. Then I should be good to go. But that weekend, Vince, I'm doing 4 drafts on Friday, 5 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. I am just super pumped.
14 drafts.
14 drafts in one weekend, all live, which is going to be a blast.
That's your chance to kind of just let your hair down, right? And just be a player. I mean, this is the only promoting
weekend, right?
And hosting and interview every day. You're everywhere. You can just go and be a player. So if I come up and talk to you, just talk to me like a player.
I will. Don't be balky. Be a player. But I always say, like, this is my only time I get to draft. I mean, I do slow drafts and stuff, but that's not the same. And I like doing both of them, obviously. But Bryce sort of just takes over commissioning that whole weekend, and then I'm just drafting in Louisville, which is fantastic. I mean, it's such a blast, and what I've heard from a lot of people too, Vince. It's like they tell me, and we've seen more and more people who draft in the FFPC come draft live in Louisville because it just kind of gets them in the mode. It's good prep for the FFPC too.
Absolutely.
A couple weeks after that.
So I just thought of something. If I fly there, Farrell can pick me up from the airport. I can get one of those famous airport rides.
Yep, absolutely.
I used to drive there, so I think I'm gonna have to fly now.
Yeah, I
can have that experience.
I had Stacy Perez come pick me up one time at the airport. I'm like, wow, now I am a high roller when this woman who's just going to kick the crap out of me in the draft rooms, which she did, by the way, is now giving me a ride from the air. I guess she's wealthy. It's like, oh, we got the fish coming in. I need to go pick up the fish at the airport so I can take advantage of them during these drafts. But no, it'll be fun. And Dom Guzzetti also chiming in right now. He says, do the midnight draft Saturday and the Sunday at the Sunday Bourbon Sunrise at the Bourbon Turn. That's the 7:30 draft. So
duly noted.
We are drafting at midnight on Saturday night, and then we'll be back at 7:30 a.m. on Sunday.
I'll check that out.
We'll sleep when we're dead. One final question. John Terry also said he knows that you're going to be in Vegas, which is awesome. So I will see you there as well.
Yep.
And he said, here we go. John also had this. Do you have a favorite target? Do you have a favorite avoid? Which I guess favorite avoid is a little counterintuitive. Do you have a least, like, do you just like, who are you staying away from and who are you targeting right now, Vince?
Does he have your show sheet, John?
No, he does not. 100% does not.
Well, I love Harold Fannin. That's one of my favorite picks late. I have him redraft as well. Njoku gets hurt. And I don't know. I have like a really positive feeling about Fannin. I think he's going to be a target vacuum if he's the tight end one, if something were to happen to Njoku. So I'm going to sit on him for as long as I can, even in redraft. And then avoid Christian McCaffrey. I know that's probably something that a lot of people say. That's not too exciting or risky. Well, maybe it is risky. I don't trust his age and injury history now. I just would rather not spend the money on him.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things here. Number one, Fannin, tight end 29 at the 1707. You're right. He's basically free, and the upside there, totally worth it. And like you said, hang on to him as long as you can. And then maybe something develops. Maybe it doesn't. McCaffrey is running back 5 at the 111. I don't get the same vibes I do with Barkley, where I say I'm scared of drafting him, but I'm scared not to draft him. I've drafted McCaffrey in a couple of spots. I feel okay about it, but it's not like he's a target for me there at all. I know the upside that I am giving up if I pass on him. I also understand the risk I'm taking with the age and the wear and tear, and knowing that this guy was not right at all pretty much the entire 2024 season. Yeah. But I also, I as much as I talked about the Cardinals schedule, man, the Niners, I think they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. And they got so many players on that team that can keep that offense on the field and make plays. And the most talented guy may once again be McCaffrey. It's him or Kittle, one or the other. And as long as McCaffrey's out there, then yeah, he should do numbers. The question is, how much is he going to be out there?
I have some Garendo, and I'd rather just sit on Garendo than spend early pick on McCaffrey.
You are Team Garendo over Team Jordan James
today, but I want to see what happens in preseason.
Right.
See what the touch distribution looks like early in the year. So today, Garendo, yeah. I mean, he looked great. I thought he looked
he was
explosive.
He was a total Raz guy, like Spark Score metrics were off the chain with him. And he was actually, people don't remember this, or maybe some people do. But he ended up, his last collegiate season was in Louisville, actually, with the Cardinals there. But he was with Braylon Allen in Wisconsin before they transferred from the Badgers to go play with Louisville. And I thought he was a pretty talented player at Wisconsin too. It stepped in and I honestly didn't think he'd be counted on like this in the NFL, like the backup to Christian McCaffrey. But certainly there's something there. You see it as well. And we'll see how that plays out going forward. Vince, this was so much fun hanging out with you. I always enjoy our conversations for sure. Do you know what day you're drafting Pros versus Joes yet, or has that not been?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right.
I saw that the
League
first
one
one
got
dropped, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because we always broadcast those shows on the HSFF Hour. If it happens, I'll send everybody the link, and if you can make a pick live on the air,
sure.
And hang out with Farrell and I, we always appreciate that as well. Until then, we will continue to follow you on the X at VC_staff. Congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on being a Joe. Good luck in Pros versus Joes and in all your drafts as you're chasing a pair of $1 million grand prizes this year. Hopefully we'll see you in Louisville. If not, we'll see you in Paris, or we'll see you at Paris in Vegas this year as well. Thank you so much, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Balky. Take care.
You got it. That is Vince Staffilino hanging out on the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown tonight. So good to talk with him as well. I want to remind everybody, if you want to play in some of the leagues and maybe draft against Vince, the Big Gorilla Tournament available now. $1 million grand prize. Drafts off and running. The 7 Bananas promo. Vince already won a free FFPC Best Ball team by getting that 7 pick in the Big Gorilla 2 times in a row. We've had 3 guys get main event teams for getting the 7 pick 3 times in a row. And it goes up to high society. That's a $10,000 buy-in if you get it 4 times in a row. You get it 5 times in a row, we're going to give you a jungle safari for 4, no questions asked, or 50 grand, whichever you prefer. The FFPC main event, also a $1 million grand prize as well. It's our flagship event, $6 million plus prize pool, live and slow drafts running there. The FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball Tournament. You got a lot of good nuggets from Vince about best ball players tonight. Take advantage of that. $125 gets you in to the Best Ball Tournament. $300K is the grand prize. $100K is the runner-up there. And $100K is the grand prize in the Superflex version, which is just $35 to enter. 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, and 6-hour clocks available for those tournaments right now at myffpc.com, which is where you can pick up Dynasty startups too. Entry fees start at $100, go up to $5,000. In a decade and a half, we've had more than 2,000 leagues. None have ever folded. Sign up today at myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. Big week with live. I know it's a holiday week, but we're still crushing the content for you. Now, number one, the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown will be back Tuesday, August 5th. We're going to get another FFPC Pros versus Joes drafter. He's a 7-time FFPC League champ. He's been on this program before. Rick Raymaker will join me on August 5th, and that will be the last sort of off-season episode of the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown. And then once the NFL season starts in September, we will go weekly, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. for that program once again. We will have a special High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour tomorrow night because we know you guys all want to shoot off fireworks on Friday and not watch fantasy football. So we're going to do our show tomorrow night. KFFSC commish, the aforementioned Farrell Elliott, will join me, and we will talk to the 35-time FFPC League winner and FFPC Pros versus Joes drafter Todd Aaron, the mad genius of fantasy football, joins us live tomorrow at 10 p.m. on this here YouTube channel. And then Thursday, we'll give you one more show this week, a big one, 2-hour show, insider access on the Better Sports Network. You watch it at Better Sports Network's website, as well as the BSN and FFPC socials. Player profiler, Fantasy Alarm, and Dynasty League football contributor and press coverage host on the Player Profiler Podcast Network Wyatt Bertolone will join me for 2 hours. We're getting into deep, maybe even some dynasty discussion with Wyatt too. I had a good game that we could play too. It goes back to the Saquon Barkley thing I was talking with Vince. I don't know if we'll play that game, but we might. I got to plan that show yet, and we'll see what happens. But that's at 7 p.m. Thursday night. So 10 p.m. tomorrow, 7 p.m. Thursday night. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Remember to play fantasy football over at myffpc.com. Talk with you tomorrow and talk with you on this show again, August 5th. Thank you for listening to the High Stakes Lowdown, a RotoViz podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. And thanks to Grapes for our theme music. Please review the podcast on iTunes under the RotoViz radio feed. It helps us find new listeners. Contact us via email, rotovizradio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think, and follow us on Twitter at RotoVizRadio. And remember, you can always support the show by subscribing to RotoViz at a 10% discount through the NFL podcast homepage, rotoviz.com/podcast.